My fiancé called my parents low-class trash at a family dinner. I said one word. Interesting. Then I opened my banking app and canceled the $5,000 check I'd written for her parents' vacation gift. When her mother called the next morning, sobbing about their canceled cruise, my fiancé finally understood who the real trash was. I'm 32. The family dinner from hell happened 3 days ago. I'm still processing it, but mostly I'm just exhausted. Here's the context. 2 years with my fiancé, who's 30, 6 months engaged. Wedding planned for next spring. Everything seemed fine until recently, when the pressure of wedding planning revealed a side of her I'd never seen before. My parents are blue-collar through and through. Dad owns his own mechanic shop. Mom taught for decades, retired just last year. They live modestly in a paid-off house, savings intact, not wealthy but comfortable. They're good people, the kind who raised me right. They helped fund my community college years before I transferred to finish my engineering degree. Now I'm doing well. $110,000 a year as a project manager at a manufacturing company. Her parents exist in a different universe. Her father holds a regional VP position at a pharmaceutical company. Her mother hasn't worked in 20 years. They live in one of those sprawling suburban houses, country club members, the whole performance. Nice people, I thought at first. A bit pretentious, sure, but tolerable. The dinner was meant to be simple, both families meeting to discuss wedding details. We chose a nice Italian place downtown, nothing too extravagant. Small talk flowed easily at first. Menus were studied. Then her mother brought up the rehearsal dinner, and the evening began its slow collapse. "We're thinking the country club," her mother said, her voice carrying that practiced enthusiasm. "Very elegant. The East Ballroom has those gorgeous windows." My mother smiled politely. "That sounds lovely. What's the cost looking like?" "Around 15,000, but it's worth it for the ambiance." My father nearly choked on his water. 15,000 for one dinner? Her father leaned back in his chair. "It's not just dinner, it's an experience. You want the wedding to be memorable, don't you?" "I'm sure it'll be memorable at half that price," my dad said quietly. Silence dropped over the table like a weight. My fiancé jumped in quickly, defensive. "We discussed this already. The rehearsal dinner is traditionally the groom's family's responsibility, right? We budgeted 5,000. That's generous for a rehearsal dinner." Her mother's smile turned brittle. 5,000 for 70 guests? That's... Oh dear. Well, we can make it work. There are beautiful venues that... My fiancé cut her off mid-sentence. "No offense, but we can't have the rehearsal dinner at some budget venue. Our friends will be there, my colleagues. This is important." "Budget venue?" My father's voice was controlled, dangerously so. "We're talking about nice restaurants, proper venues." Her father adjusted his napkin with deliberate precision. "Perhaps you don't understand the social expectations here. This isn't a backyard barbecue." I watched my father's jaw clench. That was the warning sign. My mother tried to salvage the moment with diplomacy. "We're happy to contribute what we can. Maybe we could split the..." My fiancé actually rolled her eyes. "Split it? No, that's not how this works. The groom's family pays for the rehearsal dinner. That's tradition." "And traditionally," my dad said, his voice tight, "it's a reasonable dinner, not a down payment on a car." Her mother turned to her husband, speaking loud enough for everyone to hear. "I told you this would be difficult. Different classes have different standards." My mother's face flushed red. Not anger, hurt. That particular shade of humiliation that comes from being looked down on. That's when my fiancé said it. Maybe if some people hadn't spent their lives in low-class jobs, they'd understand how proper weddings work. But I guess we can't expect trash to understand elegance. Low-class trash? She called my parents low-class trash. The table went absolutely silent. My mother looked like she'd been physically struck. My father stared at his plate, his hands trembling slightly. I said one word. Interesting. My fiancée didn't even seem to register what she'd just said. She kept talking, digging deeper. I mean, it's just reality. We're from different worlds. They need to accept that. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, found the pending check I'd written 2 weeks earlier, $5,000 for her parents' anniversary cruise gift. She'd asked me to cover it since they'd done so much for us. I stopped the payment right there at the table. Interesting, I said again. Her father frowned. What's interesting? Just handling some banking. I looked up. Anyway, about the rehearsal dinner. There won't be one. Wedding's off. You could have heard a pin drop. What? My fiancé's voice cracked. What are you talking about? Wedding's canceled. We're done. I'm not marrying someone who calls my parents trash. I was just making a point. You made your point. Now I'm making mine. I stood up, put cash on the table for my parents' meals and mine, looked directly at her parents. Oh, and that cruise gift I was covering? Canceled the check. You can pay for your own vacation. Her mother's face went pale. You what? The $5,000 check I gave you last week? Stopped payment an hour ago. That was a lie, but I'd stopped it in that exact moment. Consider it a gift for teaching your daughter that blue-collar people are trash. I walked out with my parents. Haven't been back to the apartment we share. I'm staying at my parents' house now. She's called 38 times, texted even more. I haven't answered, a single one. Her mother called this morning crying about the cruise getting canceled. Apparently they'd booked everything, banking on that check clearing. Now their account's overdrafted. My parents keep asking if I'm sure about this. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not spending my life with someone who looks down on the people who raised me. 4 days later. The fallout has been relentless. Day 1 after the dinner, I stayed at my parents' house. They kept asking if I was overreacting. My mother especially. Maybe she was just stressed about the wedding. Planning is hard. Mom, she called you trash. Well, she was frustrated. This is why I love my mom, but also why people walk over her sometimes. Too forgiving. My dad stayed quiet, but I caught him Googling how to cancel wedding venues, which made me feel both supported and profoundly sad. My phone kept exploding. My fiancée, her parents, her sister. I blocked them all. Day 2, I got a call from the wedding venue someone had tried to cancel using my name. Wasn't me. I called back, confirmed I wanted to cancel, and took the hit on the deposit. $2,500. It hurt, but it was worth it. The venue mentioned the other party was very upset when they couldn't cancel first. Guess she wanted to beat me to it. An email arrived from her. Subject line, "We need to talk about this maturely." 12 paragraphs about how I was throwing away our future over a misunderstanding. How she didn't mean it the way it sounded. How stress made her say things she didn't mean. Not once did she actually apologize. I replied with one sentence. You meant every word. We're done. Day 3, her mother appeared at my office. Security called me down because she was causing a scene in the lobby. I found her there, mascara streaking down her face. How could you do this? Do you know how humiliated we are? More or less humiliated than my parents felt when your daughter called them trash. She apologized for that. To me. In an email that didn't actually contain an apology. Did she apologize to them? Silence hung between us. That's what I thought. The cruise was non-refundable. We lost deposits. Our account is overdrawn because we counted on that check. Sounds like a financial planning problem. You said you'd pay for it. I said that before your daughter showed her true colors. Consider it a lesson in not counting money as yours before the check clears. This is financial abuse. I'll sue you. For what? I never signed anything saying I'd pay for your vacation. It was a gift. Gifts can be revoked. Ask your lawyer. Security escorted her out. My boss pulled me aside afterward, asked if everything was okay. I explained briefly. He nodded. Good for you, man. Nobody disrespects your parents. Day 4, today. The engagement ring situation became critical. Here's something I hadn't mentioned yet. The engagement ring was my grandmother's. Vintage from the 1950s. Not massively valuable in dollars, appraised around $4,000, but absolutely irreplaceable sentimentally. I got a text from my fiancée's sister. You can pick up your stuff from the apartment. She'll be gone Saturday, 10 to 2. Perfect. I wanted that ring back. I showed up with my dad and my best friend at 10:15. Let myself in with my key. She wasn't gone. She was there with her mother, sister, and 2 friends I didn't recognize. Thought you'd be out, I said. Changed my mind. We're going to talk about this. Nothing to talk about. I'm here for my stuff. I started packing. Clothes, books, gaming console, tools, documents. Her mother spoke up. What about the ring? What about it? It's hers. You gave it to her. It was a conditional gift based on marriage. No marriage. I get the ring back. That's the law in most states. I looked at my fiancée. Where's the ring? She crossed her arms. Safe. That's my grandmother's ring. I need it back. Maybe I'll keep it. Compensation for emotional distress. My dad stepped forward, his voice hard. That belonged to my mother. You give it back now. Her mother raised her chin. Or what? You'll take her to small claims court? Good luck proving it was a conditional gift. She had a point, actually. I had no documentation. It was just understood between us. Fine. Keep the ring. I'll see you in court. You're bluffing. Try me. That ring has sentimental value. I'll pursue it legally. It'll cost me more in lawyer fees than the ring's worth. But I'm petty enough to do it just so you have to hire a lawyer, too. And unlike your parents, I have savings that aren't dependent on other people's checks clearing. Her face went crimson. Her sister interjected, Just give him the ring. This is stupid. Her mother shot back, Don't you dare. He owes us. My dad's voice cut through. He owes you nothing. Your daughter disrespected us in public. He canceled a gift. You're not entitled to his money. Standoff. Finally, my fiancée stomped to the bedroom. She came back and literally threw the ring at me. I caught it. There, hope you're happy. Happier than I'd be married to you. I walked out with my stuff. 3 trips total. They watched from the window every single time. In the car afterward, my dad said quietly, I'm proud of you. That hit different. Worth all of it. 10 days later. The entitlement has reached levels I didn't think were humanly possible. The apartment situation had to be resolved. We'd been living in a 2-bedroom place, both our names on the lease. $1,800 a month, split 50-50, $900 each. Day 5, she texted, You need to keep paying your half of rent until the lease ends. The lease didn't end for 4 more months. I moved out, not paying for a place I don't live in. You're on the lease. You're legally obligated. She was technically right, which infuriated me. I talked to a lawyer friend. He confirmed that both names on the lease meant both legally responsible until the term ended. But he also said, If you're both on the lease, you both have equal right to the apartment. You could move back in if you wanted. I didn't want to, but it sparked an idea. I texted her, "You're right. I am on the lease, which means I have every right to enter the apartment whenever I want. I'll be by daily to check on things." That's harassment. No, that's me accessing my legal residence. Unless you want to work out a deal where you pay me to leave. Day 6, she offered to take over the full rent if I signed my rights away. I countered, "Pay me $3,600, 4 months at $900 up front, and I'll sign off on the lease." She refused, called it extortion. I said, "Fine, I'll start coming by every day." Day 7, she paid the $3,600. I signed the lease release. The wedding vendor drama unfolded in parallel. We'd booked several vendors, photographer, $2,800 deposit, caterer, $5,000, DJ, $800, florist, $1,200, total deposits, $9,800. We'd split most of them 50-50 from a joint account we'd opened specifically for wedding expenses. Most deposits were non-refundable. She sent me a spreadsheet. "Here's your half of the lost deposits. $4,900. Venmo me." No, we both canceled the wedding. You caused the cancellation. You pay the consequences. That's not fair. Neither is calling my parents trash. She threatened to sue. I told her to go ahead. My lawyer friend, who was thoroughly enjoying this drama, said confidently, "She'd lose. She caused the breach. You ended the relationship for legitimate reasons. Most judges won't make you pay deposits for a wedding to someone who insulted your family." The friend group situation became its own battlefield. We had mutual friends, about 8 couples. Mix of her friends, my friends, and genuinely mutual friends. She'd been telling everyone her version. I'd overreacted to a stressful moment and abandoned her over nothing. Most people reached out to me for my side. I told them the short version. She called my parents low-class trash. I ended it. I kept the story minimal. 6 of the 8 couples sided with me. 2 sided with her college friends who'd always been pretentious anyway. One of the more neutral friends, a woman who'd known her for years, sent me a message. "I'm not surprised." She said similar things about my husband's family when he wouldn't pay for her birthday trip to wine country. She has a pattern. That validation hit hard. Day 8, she showed up at my parents' house. My mom answered the door. "I'm here to apologize." My mom, being my mom, invited her in. I came downstairs to find her in our living room, crying dramatically. "I'm so sorry. What I said was terrible. I was stressed, and I took it out on you, and I'm so sorry." My mom looked at me with hopeful eyes. "Apologize to them, not me." "What? You called them trash. Apologize to them." She turned to my parents, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry if I offended you." If she offended them. My dad leaned forward. "You called us low-class trash. Either you think that or you don't." "Which is it?" "I don't. I was just frustrated." "So, when you're frustrated, you insult people's livelihoods and call them trash." "No, My dad cut her off. "That's who you are under pressure. We know now. Thank you for showing us before the wedding." She turned to me, desperate. "See? They won't accept my apology. You're being unreasonable." That wasn't an apology. That was damage control. Get out. I drove an hour to get here. Should have thought about that before insulting my parents. She left crying. My mom looked torn but said nothing. My dad clapped me on the shoulder once. "Good." Day 9 brought a financial revelation. My lawyer friend helped me close the joint wedding account. We'd both contributed to it over time. Final balance, $8,200. I'd contributed $6,000. She'd contributed $2,200. Legally, a joint account means we each get half, $4,100 each. But morally, I'd put in way more. I took my $6,000 back, left her with $2,200. She absolutely lost it. Threatened legal action immediately. My lawyer friend was unbothered. She can try, but you can prove your deposits. Court would likely give you back your contributions, especially given the circumstances of the breakup. She backed down. Day 10, today. The final power move arrived in the form of a phone call from her father. He'd been silent through this entire ordeal. "Man to man," he said, "let's talk." I met him at a coffee shop. He looked exhausted. "This has gotten out of hand. My daughter is a mess. My wife is furious. You humiliated us. Your daughter humiliated my parents. She apologized for that. No, she said sorry if I offended you." That's not an apology. Look, we all say things we don't mean when we're stressed. Do you think my parents are low-class trash? No, of course not. Does your wife? The pause stretched too long. That's what I thought. We come from different backgrounds. That creates tension sometimes. I don't care about backgrounds. I care about respect. Your daughter and your wife made it crystal clear they don't respect my parents. I'm not marrying into a family that looks down on mine. What about the money? The cruise, the rent buyout, the wedding account. You cost us over $15,000. I cost you? Your daughter cost herself a marriage. Your wife cost herself a free cruise. Those are consequences. This is vindictive. This is self-respect. He left. I finished my coffee. Felt good. 3 weeks later. Time to close this chapter properly. Week 2 brought out the flying monkeys in full force. Her extended family, her work friends, random acquaintances, all messaging me about how I was ruining her life and overreacting to one mistake. I sent the same response to everyone. She called my parents low-class trash at a family dinner. If you think that's acceptable, we have nothing to discuss. Most people shut up after that. A few tried the everyone makes mistakes angle. I asked if they'd marry someone who called their parents trash. None of them answered. Her mother made one final attempt to get me to reimburse them for the cruise. She sent me a demand letter through some lawyer friend of hers. My lawyer friend responded with a simple letter explaining that gifts aren't contracts, and she had no legal standing. Never heard back after that. Week 3, the apartment situation resolved itself quietly. She moved out at the end of the month, got her own place. Had to get a roommate because she couldn't afford it alone. Apparently downgraded significantly from what she was used to. Heard through the grapevine she's bitter about it. Not my problem anymore. The ring is back in my family now. I gave it to my mom to hold on to. Maybe I'll give it to my future wife someday, maybe not. But it won't be on the finger of someone who thinks my family is trash. Financially, I took a hit. Lost the $2,500 venue deposit plus the deposits I'd personally paid for the photographer and caterer, about $3,000 total. But I got back my full contribution from the joint account and got paid to leave the apartment lease. Net loss? Maybe $2,000. Worth every single penny. The social aftermath spread through our circle like wildfire. Most people took my side once they heard what she'd actually said. Some tried to stay neutral, which honestly felt like taking her side anyway. I let those friendships fade naturally. If you can't understand why calling someone's parents low-class trash is breakup-worthy, we're not compatible as friends. I made some interesting discoveries about who she really was. Multiple people came forward with stories once the truth got out. A college friend said she'd refused to attend her wedding because the venue was too basic. A coworker said she constantly complained about clients from unrefined backgrounds. Her own cousin reached out privately to say she'd been insufferable since getting engaged, constantly talking about how she was marrying up. Dodged a bullet? More like dodged a missile. My parents keep thanking me, which breaks my heart a little. They shouldn't have to thank me for defending them. My mom finally admitted she'd always felt judged by my fiancé's family but had tried to ignore it. My dad said he'd never trusted her but didn't want to interfere with my life. I told them I should have listened to my gut sooner. There were signs, little comments here and there. I wrote them off as wedding stress. Turns out, stress doesn't create character. It reveals it. We had a good dinner last week, just the three of us. My dad grilled. Mom made her famous potato salad. We sat on their back deck and didn't talk about her at all. We talked about normal stuff. Sports, weather, Mom's garden. It was perfect. The emotional reality is complicated. I'm not going to lie and say I'm 100% fine, because I'm not. I loved her, or thought I did. I'd imagined an entire future with her. Kids, house, growing old together. That's gone now. Some nights I wonder if I overreacted. Then I remember my mom's face when she heard low-class trash, and I know I didn't. Some days I miss her. The good version of her. The one who laughed at my jokes and made Sunday breakfast and watched terrible reality TV with me. Then I remember that person was apparently fake, or at least conditional on my parents not being in the picture. The anger's fading now. What's left is mostly sadness for what I thought we had, and relief about what I avoided. I started seeing a therapist. Not because I'm devastated, but because I want to understand how I missed the red flags. Why I ignored the small comments, the little judgments, the subtle condescension toward my background. The therapist says it's common. People show you who they want you to see until they feel secure enough to drop the mask. Usually happens after marriage. I got lucky, the mask slipped before the wedding. Everyone keeps asking the hard question, has she tried to get back together? Yes, multiple times. Week 2, she sent a long email about how she's changed and understands now and wants to prove herself. I didn't respond. Week 3, she showed up at my office again. Security called me down. I had them ask her to leave and added her to the do not allow list. She sent flowers to my parents' house with a card. I'm deeply sorry for my words and actions. I hope someday you can forgive me. My mom wanted to accept them. My dad threw them in the compost bin. Her sister reached out, said she's devastated and has learned her lesson and deserves another chance. I told the sister flat out, she doesn't deserve another chance. She deserves exactly what she got. Consequences. Tell her to learn the lesson with the next guy. Hopefully, he'll have more self-respect than I did when I ignored the warning signs. Here's the truth I've learned. You can't marry someone who doesn't respect your family. Not just tolerate them, respect them. My parents aren't perfect. They're not wealthy. They don't have fancy degrees or country club memberships. But they're good people. They worked hard their entire lives. They raised me right. They gave me everything they could. Anyone who looks down on that isn't someone I want in my life. The money stuff, the cruise, the deposits, the rent, that was all just tactics. Ways to make sure she understood there were real consequences. But the actual consequence was simpler. She lost me. She didn't lose me because of money. She lost me because she showed me exactly who she is, and who she is isn't someone I want to spend my life with. Where I am now, single, living in a studio apartment closer to work. It's small, but it's mine. No shared spaces, no walking on eggshells, no wondering if my girlfriend secretly thinks my family is beneath her. I'm good, not great yet, but good, better every day. My parents are good too, relieved, I think. My mom stopped pretending she liked my fiancé. My dad's been teaching me some advanced car maintenance stuff, which is actually pretty cool. My job's good. Boss has been supportive. Co-workers too. Apparently, my situation resonated with a lot of people. More people have similar stories than I expected. Dating? Not yet. Maybe eventually. Right now, I'm just decompressing, figuring out who I am outside of that relationship. Remembering what I actually like versus what I pretended to like to fit into her world. Turns out, I don't actually enjoy wine tastings or art gallery openings or pretentious brunch spots. I like dive bars and greasy diners and baseball games, and that's completely fine. I'm fine. To anyone reading this who's in a similar situation, if your partner disrespects your family, that's not a small thing. That's a massive relationship-ending thing. It doesn't matter how stressed they are. It doesn't matter how long you've been together. It doesn't matter how much you've invested financially or emotionally. If they can't respect where you come from, they don't respect you. Not really. I spent $5,000 on a cruise I never took. Lost deposits totaling $5,500. Paid $3,600 to get out of a lease early. Total cost, $14,100. Worth every single dollar to not spend the rest of my life with someone who thinks my parents are trash. Best money I ever spent.